No, can you ask me a question, please? I like stories that are like very crazy, and I like cartoons because it's funny and they can do whatever they want. Like, yeah.
We've got the BBC Commissioners for Children's, and we've got Cheryl Taylor, who's head of CBBC. We've got Kay Benbow, who's head of CBeebies, and we've got Claire Stocks, who is head of BBC Children's Interactive.
Hello.
And what we want to do on this panel is, it's actually kind of CBBC and BBC Children's Interactive 101. It's about how you can get to these people with your project, how best to pitch to them, and what do they actually want. Can I just ask the audience, how many people here have had a commission, have had something commissioned by the BBC? Put your hands up. Okay, a good few people. How many people have not had, but they would like to have? Okay, more than half. Okay, so hopefully this will be good for, it'll be a refresher course for the people who've already done it, and it'll be hopefully interesting for the people who haven't. So let's kick off. Just in the big picture, everyone knows, guys, that everyone knows you've got lots of platforms. People kind of have an idea of what the brand values are. Do you have a rubric, an easy to remember mnemonic, perhaps, that people can keep in mind when they're pitching projects to you, so that they can orient themselves when they're doing a pitch?
Well, for the purpose of today, and hello everyone, thank you very much for coming, by the way. Just for the purpose of today and, the next few months, because we do so much, and this is across all of our platforms on both CBeebies and CBBC, we thought we would orient some of the things we're talking about around voice, choice, Rolls-Royce, as an easy-to-remember mnemonic. Voice, I think, speaks for itself, no more eloquently, I think, than Leo. So thank you very much for that. It is awesome that you did In My Life, and now your voice literally is amplified in so many places. I think you're absolutely fantastic. But many, many more people like Leo who have a voice on both channels with the shows like Our School and My Family, all of the participation we do, as you know, across so many of the fact end titles. That's one of our key things, and possibly the most important thing, both for linear and interactive, user-generated content, etc., etc. So that's voice. Choice, which Claire's going to pick up a little bit on a bit later on, which is about not just choice of genre. As you know, across both channels, we have every genre going. We're very proud to be a multi-genre offering, but also, obviously, choice of platform. We now, are everywhere the kids want us to be, which is really important to us. And Rolls-Royce, which I know is a slightly outdated reference to some degree, but just it rhymes. And obviously it denotes quality and trust. And I think that, quality goes without saying, that the BBC strive to be best in show. We're incredibly proud of everything we do. And in this, as we go to more platforms, and it's a much more deregulated landscape, the trust that both our viewers and their parents put in the BBC is super important, and we want to maintain that at all times. So we've got 3 little clip reels, basically, showing voice, choice, and Rolls-Royce, which here's voice.
Can we run the first VT?
Oh, I'm excited to see what life has in store for me.
I could be anything, but it doesn't matter. I have enough time to make up my mind, and there's no pressure.
Hi, my name is Ahmed. I am 16 years old. I am from Syria.
When I was your age and someone told me not to do something, that usually meant I tried to do it.
Maybe you weren't educated properly enough about health and well-being.
Well, many people have said that.
Whose family are we going to meet today?
Zoe, say sausages.
It's time to get creative in the club. We're going to be making one of these.
A straw balloon racer.
Ready?
Yeah!
Let's go!
We're very excited to introduce Blue Peter's new giant competition to celebrate the release of the BFG.
We want you to create your very own dream story.
We are totally excited.
Don't Don't stop moving, find your own way to it.
What have Jack and Toby spotted in the sky? Can you see? It's a helicopter.
There he is!
Come on, let's see you dancing! Woo! Here we go! Yeah! All right! Woo! Here we go, here we go!
We love seeing all of your photos, don't we, Mr. Bloom?
Well done, Delia and Sam.
Would you like to introduce the next show?
I would love to.
Go for it, take it away.
Coming up next is my favourite channel. It's Lost and Found.
Hey, brilliant.
Okay, great. Great, thank you. So that's the voice bit. We'll come on to the others in a minute, but a little bit later. Before we dive into the detail of how to get to you guys and how best to pitch to you, just give a very couple of bullet points on the size of the prize that people are going for. What's the context of the amount of money that you've got, how it's divided between independents and in-house? Just a few short details. Do you want to? Yeah, you kick off and then go to Kay.
As you know, most years it differs ever so slightly in terms of the percentage that indies win and the percentage that in-house win. But roughly speaking, 43, I think last year 43% of business was won by indies, and that equates to around £35 million. But as a rule of thumb, the year before that it was more like 50%, and it will change year on year. But you know, in general, you can assume that the indies will win between 35 and 40 million pounds of business.
Okay, so that's a big
across both channels.
That's a big. So that's across both channels. Does that also apply to you as well?
So when Cheryl and Kate are talking about, when they're talking about commissioning, they're commissioning across all platforms. And effectively what we're doing around digital is that they're spending more of that money on digital content.
Okay.
So this year, for instance, we've increased our spend on digital by about £2 million, up to £6 million. That's across CBeebies and CBBC. And I imagine that direction of travel will continue. We don't have a set kind of number. It depends on the idea. We assess what we want to do each year, and we'll make those decisions. And it also depends on what ideas we're getting in.
Okay. Well, so the point is, there's a pretty big chunk of money from the BBC across all platforms for you guys to go for. So, you know, that's the prize. Let's dive in and get into some detail about how. The way we thought we'd do this is actually walk through a couple of projects, real live projects, from script to screen to launch, so that you can see how it's been done in the past and maybe as a model for you guys to follow. So, Cheryl, can you kick us off?
Yes.
And the questions that, you know, hopefully you've prepared and you're going to tackle are, if I can just remember what they were, how did the producer get to you? You know, literally, how did they actually come and talk to you? Could they talk to you initially?
Yeah.
What was so good about the way that they pitched, the do's and don'ts of pitching, and what happened next? What are the key decision points and who made them? And can you also, just before you start, say, was this a producer who was new to you, brand new, like some of you guys out here, or was it someone you've always worked with and you would do work with anyway?
So yes, we're going to, as just described, we're going to use one project. Well, I'll talk about, you know, a few other little channel bits and pieces in this project, which is Got What It Takes. You saw a clip of it there with the kids singing. This was a really interesting project, I think, from a development point of view. It came to us from Rise Productions, who we hadn't worked with before. I'd met them in a previous life as comedy controller at the BBC. So it's Sheldon Lazarus, who had got hold of the most hilarious Romanian format, which was called Mum Made Me a Star. And he talked to us and got in touch with Melissa direct. And
Who's Melissa?
Melissa Harding down here,
Okay.
who is our head of indie commissioning.
Head of indie commissioning, right.
And he sent us the tape of the Romanian version, and we thought, wow, this is extraordinary, because essentially it's sort of X Factor, trying to find a great singer among a group of kids, but with their mums involved, doing lots of different exercises and influencing the decision. However, it was also not quite BBC in that the mums were in bikinis, they would hit each other, they would pull their hair, Even the title, Mum Made It. Well, I'm going to show you a bit in a minute. Absolutely, yeah. So we all laughed a lot and thought, there's something about this, because we're always looking for a way to do talent shows in a different way to The Voice and The X Factor, obviously. But it wasn't very public service. And Sheldon won't mind me saying that, because he sent me the clips. But anyway, so brilliantly, everyone sat down, and Melissa worked really, really closely with Rise and Hayden King, is that right? Who is the series producer. And they carved out of this bonkers, rambunctious Romanian thing this extraordinary, sophisticated, participatory and aspirational talent show, which brought all these amazing kids, really diverse group of kids, were really keen singers. Two amazing things. We managed to get Lauren Platt to present it, so obviously, again, she sort of really connected with the audience.
Just for people who don't know who Lauren Platt is.
She was, I think, how many years ago was it, with the...
2014?
2014.
X Factor?
Yeah, I think nearly a final. She was last four, third. So really good singer, a young person. So great to have her as presenter. And also David Tench, who's one of the voice coaches on The Voice. And what happened with him was the minute he came on, everyone realised he was so great and so sympathetic with the kids and really wanted them to do well, that they carved out a special section in the show for him where he's tutoring them, and he took it incredibly seriously. And as a result of the friendships and the support that he's given the kids, even after we had a winner who, you know, the prize was to sing at Radio 1's Big Weekend, so that's a great partnership, just bobbing that in there with another platform. But they've all gone on to do great things. Some are acting, some are writing songs with big pop stars. So across the board, from this rather, as I say, slightly Channel 5-y, I suppose, type show, we've got this wonderful public service talent brand that we've recommissioned and that has really helped these children, again, find their voice. And I've got a little set of clips here which show you the Romanian version, closely followed by the CBBC version.
Should we see that now?
Yes.
Can you just run that BT?
Have the chance to finally make it.
I knew from the first note that.
Oh wow! I can't do it!
Yeah, killer!
So there you see the two versions, and just to round up. Just from a development point of view, what I think is instructive about the way that Got What It Takes came to the screen was that on first viewing, probably we all thought, nah, this isn't going to happen. But we all had a gut instinct that there was something there, and we couldn't let it go. And we piloted it. We gave about £13,000 to Rise to do a pilot. That also was instructive because the resulting pilot was a kind of middle ground where we thought the presenters weren't quite right. The title at that time was then Mum's the Manager, and we felt that still wasn't quite right for the channel, so that eventually evolved into having Lauren Platt and Got What It Takes. But it took a long time. There was a lot of hard work, but a huge amount of collaboration. And Sheldon, you know, really, really believed in the format. Melissa really believed in the format, and they worked away at it. And now, as a result, we've got a fantastic participatory kind of new brand on the channel, and we love it.
That's it. Okay, great. So, a couple of hard questions here. Sheldon, you knew Sheldon already
Yes,
in a different capacity.
but only.
Had you actually commissioned anything off him before?
Never commissioned anything before. I'd met him in a room, basically.
You met him in a room? Okay, so a takeaway from that is try and meet you in a room.
Yes. Especially posh restaurants.
Posh restaurants. So the tip is find out where Cheryl is.
I don't really mean that. I do.
I guess the thing is, so the point is that even though you hadn't actually commissioned any work off him before, you were willing to consider something that he came in, but he was a little bit helped because you'd already said hello to him in the room. So make yourself known, basically.
He and Melissa get on really well, and I think the main thing, though, is if he really believed in it, so he kept pushing. He really believed in it, and he pushed it through, and he collaborated. He understood what the channel needed in a public service way.
Okay, and did he already see, before he came and pitched it to you, did he believe that it was appropriate, or did he say, look, this isn't quite appropriate, but I think there's a
he said, we will need to change this.
Yeah, okay, all right, good. Funding, just go back to funding. You said you funded the pilot. What about the show? What proportion of the budget did you put in?
All of it, yeah. So it's fully funded, and off the back of the pilot, we were very sure about it. Then we thought we know. Is that
unusual that you put 100%?
No. Obviously for Fat Dent, and because so much of our stuff is UK based, reflecting UK kids.
Yep.
It's not possible for the producers to get funding elsewhere. So a lot of our Fat Dent stuff is fully funded.
Okay, and do you know whether they've sold it internationally?
Just hot off the press this morning, because I thought you might ask me that. I texted Sheldon, and he said that Justin Bieber's manager has optioned it. So there you go, in America. So yes, success story for Sheldon.
He might actually make some more money out of that.
He might.
So he had it fully funded by the BBC, including the pilot, and now he's going to make money. Okay, so there's the tip.
Hopefully.
Okay. Kay, do you want to just walk us through yours?
Hello everyone. So I'm Kay. I'm controller of CBeebies. So I commission everything across all platforms for the under sixes. The project I'm going to talk about was actually announced last week. It's a new commission and it's gone into full production this week. It's called Apple Tree House, and it's from the wonderful people at Three Stones Media, who were the people who brought me Rasta Mouse. So just trying to think when it was. It would have been probably about 2012, 2013. I had a meeting with Greg and Eugenio in a room, and they always know they have to allow Eugenio and I at least 5 to 10 minutes to talk about Arsenal. So we got that out of our system.
So tip is Arsenal fan.
Introductions to Arsene Wenger, Thierry Henry, any of those things will do nicely, thank you.
But actually, seriously, I mean, in terms of oiling the social wheels of business, knowing that you know that you
the
love
Arsenal football team and know not to diss Arsenal.
Absolutely.
Good.
It's a bit of research, so do your research.
It's all right. I get stick all the time from these two. We had a conversation and they said, we've got an idea, we want to talk to you. Now, also in the room with them were Will, Akin and Maria. Now, Will I knew also because he was one of the voices on Rasta Mouse, and they'd come up with an idea. So it was the idea of a diverse community, but as animation. And I just sat there thinking, it's such a lovely idea, because it was actually drawing on their experiences, a multiracial community, a really positive idea. And, as it's turned out, how timely is it that it's going into production as we speak?
But actually,
I did know the company, obviously, because they don't. But the interesting thing was, when they did Rasta Mouse, they hadn't done animation before. So, that was new to them. I trusted them. They did a fantastic job. And the thing is that I know that they always listen. So I sat there, they did the pitch, and they've got lovely illustrations, and they've got storylines. And I just said, you know what? I'd really like this as live action, not animation. Because, obviously, on CBeebies, I can't remember how many years ago it was I stood here and asked for drama, and everybody said, oh, you won't be able to do drama, you can't afford it on CBeebies, how are you going to do it? Well, credit to all of you, you did. You all came back with ideas, and we've had the unbelievably successful Katie Morag, and even more successful, over the last few years, Topsy and Tim, which continue to do amazing business for us. And I think it's interesting that they're child-led dramas as well. And I think our audience, particularly the young audience, find it very empowering. So they kind of reeled back in their chairs and said, oh, right, okay. But it was about building on the success of Topsy and Tim, where we really learnt that its small stories are actually big for our audience. for preschoolers, they're discovering the world. So it's understanding those small things that then opens up the world for them. And clearly told from a child's perspective, it's incredibly positive and empowering for the very, very young. And I absolutely am determined to keep going with drama on CBeebies, so that isn't going to change.
So can I just say, so when we were talking earlier, you said that one of the things that you still lack, and we'll come on to this when we get to the what do you want now, but you were saying you've been trying to find diversity, projects with diversity in them. So this answered the diversity brief,
Yeah,
but it didn't answer the live. You're also looking for live. So you...
Yes, I think we've actually, we're pretty good on in front of the camera on diversity. We definitely can do better behind the camera. I think my biggest frustration is the lack of diversity in animation. It's starting to happen, but definitely need more female leads, diverse leads, and that means diversity in all its glory, not just necessarily...
So why didn't you keep this as an animated project if you're...
Because I have a lot of animation, and I just felt the stories they were telling were really, really compelling, and actually to see it happen in real life. And again, it was because I'd seen the huge success of Topsy and Tim. I mean, even the repeat of a fifth repeat of Topsy and Tim gets incredible figures, because obviously we are always getting a new audience through.
And how was the transition from an animated concept to live action? Did you what part did you play, or your team play?
Huge. I mean, I then went back to my fantastic indie exec Michael Towner and said, "Oh, I've just said this, but they, and he said, "Oh, right, okay, well done, Kay, thanks." So basically, we did talk to them. We did give them some development money. Generally, on CBeebies, we give between £5,000 and £10,000, depending on what we're asking for.
Development money.
Yeah, and usually what I ask for is a pitch back, in a way of saying this is what we want to show in the development, and then obviously it has to be properly costed. I'm not just going to hand out.
Right, so you want to pitch back, including a budget, cost of budget? Yeah,
absolutely. Okay. So they, we all talked actually, and actually, really, I think once I got over the initial shock, because obviously, I can totally understand, you psych yourself up and you go and pitch, and then somebody like me says, actually, could you make it into live action rather than animation? And, I all credit to them. They did a fantastic job, and they went and looked at the storylines, obviously still work. So what it's ended up being, after they pitched the story Bible, is actually live action, but with some animated sequences that sort of explain what's going on in the children's animation. So the heart of the project was summed up as this: an inner city estate bursting with life. The rough edges and occasional grime gently fade behind swathes of colour and a vibrant sense of community. Appletree House is rooted in a real and diverse world that the CBeebies audience will recognise. And what's happened now, so if I quickly whiz through what's happened now, the new look for the series has evolved. So as I say, it's live action punctuated with illustrative animation. September last year, we'd reached the point of storylines and a couple of draft scripts. Michael and I continued to discuss with Greg, and there were some minor changes. I won't go into huge detail, but there were some characters that we wanted to just tweak and change, particularly about their role. October 2015, the writing team and the key creatives were assembled and shared with us all their thoughts, and we then moved ahead. November, casting started, because obviously this was a real challenge, because we wanted children, and also we didn't want necessarily to look in the obvious places of stage school or necessarily drama groups, because we wanted authenticity, and that's really, really important. Beginning of this year, there was a writers' conference held in London where the storylines were discussed, as well as the key moments for animation, because we've got to have those two things running in parallel to make sure, obviously, it's as effective as possible. And then it was about finding the location to shoot, and it's ended up being in East London, sort of the Bromley by Bow area, and then the studio base is at 3 Mills. And I think what was so lovely was that Michael went to the first script read-through, and I just think it's, it ended up being a community. And what's really lovely is that where they're shooting, they're going to be working with the local community, and things will get, things that are created for the show, whether it's artwork or other things, will actually get left behind. Yeah. And so it will be a really, I hope, a really positive addition to the CBeebies drama portfolio.
Okay. Great.
And absolutely answering all the questions about diversity. And, you know, I just want to say, you know, the writing team, Will, Akin, Nathan, Maria, Cara, Medea and Moan, just, they've created some great stories. And you know, Michael's come back and said, you know, this is going to be great. So I'm really looking forward to going and seeing them on location. So I'm incredibly proud of this one.
Great. Okay, we'll look forward to seeing it. So funding-wise, proportionate?
I couldn't
How much
fully
are you putting?
fund. I mean, as I think everybody knows, the CBeebies' overall budget is much smaller. So I probably on this one it was about 2/3, and they've managed to find.
Where did they find the rest of it?
Do you know? I think some private investment and. I mean, obviously their experience.
All their profits off the back of Rasta Mouse because they made a lot of money, right?
I don't know about that. I think you know they've managed to source other funding, and they're.
So that is for the purpose of the people here who haven't done it before.
Yeah.
That is really you put the onus on them to find the rest of the funding, and you would not greenlight until obviously they had the rest of the funding in place.
Yes, and we do have to be sure where the rest of the funding's coming from. I mean, an awful
you
lot
need
of
proof.
shows on CBeebies are third-party funded. That's the only way I can do the range and diversity of the content. Some shows are fully funded. I mean, I would have talked about Our Family as well, which has been a phenomenal success.
We don't have time.
No, but I do just want to say it's a small budget. It has been one of our top-performing shows. Yes, it's not one that's going to go and make somebody loads of money because you can't, you know, make merchandise off it. But it has absolutely, again, reflected real children, real lives.
Yeah.
And it's been phenomenal success, and all credit to Sally Ann Keyser at 6 Cents. Second series has just been commissioned.
Right, that's great. So Our Family, go away and watch it. It's slice of life, I guess, of a preschooler within their family. It's a great series. Claire,
Yes.
come to you quickly.
So
How's it work for you?
I was going to talk about a project that we've got on the go, which I think represents more of an opportunity looking forward rather than looking back. So this is our new CBeebies app. You probably all familiar with Playtime, which is an app we launched 3 years ago. Very successful, 6 million downloads. But we needed to look at how do we follow that success? How do we make sure we continue getting CBeebies in the app space? So we've been looking at what we're gonna do next, and we're launching something in September, which I think is a big opportunity. So just to talk you through how the project kind of came about. So we have an internal product team led by Lucy McLean, who might be here this morning. Some of you may have met her this week. We work very closely with them, and what we did was we asked ourselves the question, right, we need to follow this up, how are we going to do that, look at the audience need. We aggregated all our existing research and looked at what game types, where we were weak, one of the areas perhaps open-ended play, we're not doing so much. And then we considered the tech approach, how are we going to get into the app space in a kind of scalable way. You all know, I think I was in the apps session yesterday, 80 to 90% of apps get downloaded and never opened again, so it's an expensive place to make content for no one to ever look at it again. So you're going to do stuff in the app space, you want it to be successful, your tech approach is a key part of that. We worked really closely with the audience, so we went into schools and set them creative challenges. We said, imagine your CBeebies' favourite characters, where would you like them to live, how would they get around, because we knew for this younger audience that the app's kind of interface was a key part of the app experience itself. So those creative challenges, if you when you see the app, which we've decided to call Playtime Island, based on asking kids to pick their favourite names, when you see it, you'll see some of those kids' creative ideas in the app. So there's a fruit helicopter. Who would have thought of that? That's in the app. So that was kind of the framework. And then we'll be launching it in September with a small suite of games in it. In order to try and make the app as successful as possible at launch, we've picked 2 existing games, because the key thing about this app is that effectively what it's going to do is wrap HTML5 games into the app space. Why that's important for us is that means that we can publish those games to our website, our responsive website, and into the app, into this new app, which makes it more of a cost-effective approach for us. So we've picked two of our current games which are performing really well, which are Peter Rabbit and Peter Rabbit and Furchester. And then we commissioned 2 new games, Andy's Dinosaurs and Topsy and Tim, which again are really successful brands across all platforms, which hopefully will help drive take-up of the app when we launch it. So we've just launched a public beta that's gone out to 1,000 users, so we're getting feedback from the audience. And what's key about that is that we've got enough time between now and when we want to launch it to actually act on that feedback. I don't know about you, but I hate betas that get launched and then the actual launch is 2 weeks later and, well, hang on, I told you some stuff and you haven't done anything with it. So, and we'll also have quite a strong marketing plan that will come after we've launched it, because we like to put our apps out in the market first in order to make sure they're working before we actually promote them. So to come on to the opportunity, I think, you know, we see all of the digital things that we do as, and in this example particularly, kind of as platforms. We take a product approach. We want to develop this with the audience based on their feedback. So this is a space into which we will be publishing HTML5 games for the younger audience for many years to come, hopefully. And I think, so what have we done around games specifically? So what this means is that we are now increasing our budgets around games. I talked about the increase in digital commissioning spend from Kay and Cheryl, so that's increased to around 6 million this year. And majority of that's been driven by, well, 2 things. One is games, and the other thing is short form. So on games we have bigger budgets. And also we're taking a kind of longer view of games. So what are we doing this year? What are we doing next year? What are we doing in year 3s? And when we work with indies, we ask them to consider, okay, so what do you want to do for launch? But what would you do? How would you build on that? What new levels would you add in? We want to develop a relationship with the audience. We want them to come back. And I think that's a creative opportunity as well as a financial one. And we're increasingly now, as a default, building in metrics into our games to allow us to measure and monitor what the audience are doing. If any of you were in the data-driven session yesterday, some of our team were talking about how we did that with Danger Mouse, where in real granular detail, so one of the levels where we can now monitor the XY coordinates of where users get killed. And so we found in one particular level that the number of people being killed in this particular spot was far too high, so we tweaked the game. As a result, users now getting through those levels. We also noticed that users weren't getting the new levels that we added in. 90% of our users weren't getting there because it was too hard, and yet we know what the audience want challenges from games. So we just added in a simple option to skip the level if you want, so you can unlock those levels, or you can have the challenge if you choose to. And we're also, we know it's important for many indies to be able to commercialise games outside the UK, so we're getting better at that as well. So that's why I think it's all a good opportunity.
So how, just coming back to,
yeah.
you're an independent here
yeah.
who thinks they have a digital project they'd like to come and pitch to you. How do they get to you? What's the best way? Is it just meeting you in a room, as with Cheryl and Kay, or what's the best route?
No, I mean we have a number of indie execs. Mary Dubois is our interactive indie exec, and our indie execs are kind of the first port of call. We have a commissioning website where we constantly update with our briefs. We just did last month, and if anyone was here, apologies for it was our debut webinar. So we are now having monthly webinars, encouraging people to tune in and listen to updates on what we're looking for, because it's not necessarily scalable to get to say, oh, email me and get 100 emails. But if you do email me, I will reply.
So this is a new mechanism that you've got, the webinar. So it's a webcast where you're talking to people about what it is that you want now, how best to approach you, and so on and so on.
This first one we did was about digital, but this is a children's thing. It's not specifically about digital.
So are you guys going to be doing webinars as well?
Better, and making sure people know what we're doing. And as I say, we've revamped the commissioning pages. But I mean, I'm always happy for people to get in touch. And obviously there are 2 things. There's certainly on the digital front, it could be support for the brand. So if you are pitching an idea, do have a thought about what the digital iteration might be. It's something we can obviously discuss going forward, because inevitably what we do try and do, Cheryl and I both try and commission in the round at the beginning, so we've got a sense of where it's going to go. Not everything needs every iteration.
Right. Is it about trying to find ways? So producers need to be imaginative about what are the ways, apart from the linear channel, that you can reach the audience.
Yes.
So
absolutely. So it could be within the app. It could be a piece of short form. It could be other things that they want to do in their own space, because obviously they're the IP owners. So it's just thinking about how we do it. I mean, obviously, we can have conversations, we can have suggestions. Obviously, Mario works across both channels as our interactive indie exec. Obviously, Cheryl and I take advice from Claire and her team, so that we are trying to break new ground.
So you're sharing if you get a pitch,
absolutely,
which looks like
yes,
appropriate.
we all talk together.
And what we're really looking for is it's about the idea, and have you thought about which platform that idea is right for? Sure. And that's not every idea needs to be a 360 thing. There could be a 90 thing. There could be and that's what we know about digital platforms, is that a lot of content needs to be thought of specifically in for that audience.
Right, and it's interesting, Claire, you were saying that you use metrics and so on, and you do a lot of research, which is a slightly different method than for the linear channels. I mean, you said that we went into schools and so on, so you actually, I'm sure you guys do it at certain points, but when you're developing your app, for example, you were talking about...
When you say effectively, there's no kind of, we don't do things in the digital space over here and things in the linear space. We treat this in the round. Cheryl and Kay are the commissioners, and we have a kind of digital approach and digital set products when we have teams working on them. So it's not a kind of separate thing.
I suppose what I was asking was, if someone came to you with a concept, which may start out as an app, let's say, or a game, and they had researched the hell out of it, it was based on really good metrics, that would presumably pique your interest a bit more than someone who said, well, I've just got this idea and I think it'll work, but I don't have any kind of proof for it.
Well, yeah, but I think that's the same for all of us.
Yeah. It's harder to get proof that something is going to rate well.
And also we have a small but perfectly formed team called our Stepping Out team, and actually sometimes we do take...
What are they called?
Stepping Out. Okay. So they literally go out to schools, nurseries, across the area, and sometimes I will actually, if something comes in, we might, obviously we'd ask permission, but we might take that. If somebody's done a taster, we might take it out and have a conversation about it, and then we get some feedback. So absolutely, we go out and talk to the audience at very early stages.
Okay, very good. I'm conscious we need to move on. Just one more question with Claire. Funding. How much of any particular project do you fund? I mean, what's the kind of range? 50%, 100%? Totally dependent?
Yeah, 100%
can you
in
fund
most
up to 100%?
cases. I mean, what I just talked about there, the app that we were talking about there, that's an app that we've developed internally, but that's not always the case.
Had it come in from outside, in theory, you could have funded 100%?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so it's there to play for. Okay, all right, I think we've got time to just do you've done the voice. We're going back to the sort of the top level.
Very quickly, yeah.
Should we go for the choice film?
Can we play the choice little video?
Can we play the VT on choice? We're just going back to the idea of what are the brand values that you want to try and hit when you're pitching?
You've always got somewhere to go. Can go on this app and watch whatever you want.
Oh, I like your blue Lilo, Izzy.
Go on that thingy.
And it looks really fun too.
This is How to Dixie. Scroll through the newsfeed to catch all the latest posts, comments, photos, and vlog updates.
Whoa, what was that?
Oh, give me the apple.
Thank you very much.
Is this yours?
Yeah.
The winner of Junior Bake Off 2015 is Amari.
Let's go with
4 explorers on a global adventure.
We can share.
Okay, so that was about choice. So we're just trying to give you the big picture. Let's go back to the detail again. I want to move on to the. We've done the sort of the how to get to you and so on. Let's talk about the what. What sort of content you need right now and looking forward. You know, so because you're obviously planning forward. Just Cheryl, why don't you kick us off? What do you need?
So, as you've seen from all the various clips, we commission across all genres. Drama and comedy are probably the USP for CBBC. Live action is one of the things we do really well, and it's what rates the best. So those are the titles that, you know, most often you'll see performing well on the top 40 on the iPlayer, along with a couple of the Fat Dent big hitters.
Live action drama.
Yes, so things that, you know, you'll know about Wolfblood, Hetty Feather, our great comedies, So Awkward, Millie in Between, Hank Zipser. These all rate really well. Because they do well, we have, over the past 8 months, gone to a strategy of slightly less churn. So we're keeping titles on the channel for longer. We're putting big marketing campaigns around them, supporting with a lot of brand extensions, whether that's YouTube, short form on YouTube, stuff on social media. And this is working really well. So we're growing the footprint of those brands very successfully. That's great, obviously, for the companies who make those shows, slightly less good in terms of the available slots for drama and comedy for newcomers. However, it's something we will always need, and drama and comedy takes a long time to develop. So, you know, think about what we haven't got. Watch the channel. Please watch the channel, because a lot of people don't. Please watch the channels.
So you were saying, going back to the how, you were saying the biggest don't when you're pitching is not do your research.
I've been in a pitch meeting where I'm talking to someone here, and on the screen in the office behind me is a show going out on the channel exactly the same as the one that this person was pitching to me, and that's not great. So it's fantastic if you look at the channel, you will be able to sense, perhaps better than us sometimes, what we're missing. But comedy and drama will always want inventive, great comedy and drama that, you know, has got playground currency and feels surprising and fresh. In terms of Fat Dent and entertainment, you know, brilliant shows like Horrible Histories and Operation Ouch, really inventive and instructive shows, but have a lot of entertainment values in them, as well as the whole laugh while you learn, stealth learning, as we call it. Now, you know, they may go on for a couple of years, but will need to be replaced at some time, you know, like Art Ninja as well. So, again, you know, we've got a new show this year called Engineers. You saw a clip of that, which is great format points. Really work hard on the format points for the entertainment and the Fat Dent, because they've got to last for 12 or 13 episodes. But we're always looking for new titles there. I think in terms of diversity, you know, again, anything that's got diverse presenters and diverse stories will be top of the list. And My Life, you know, Leo, as you know, has kind of represented himself on the My Life strand. And for smaller companies, they're 50k per episode, and we do 11 or 12 every year. And we're looking for fantastic young people with extraordinary lives.
And you fully fund those?
Fully funded as well. And then last but not least, we're really, really proud of our interactive drama, because it's something that we've done really well, I think, with Dixie and most recently Secret Life of Boys. They're pretty pricey. We kept thinking, okay, if we do interactive drama, we can bring the cost down. They're still pretty, maybe it's not possible, but if we could do higher volume of interactive drama and get into this whole safe social, connecting with the audience on a really regular basis, but do it at a lower cost, it's something that we're really keen to do. So,
okay. Gonna have to cut you there.
But yes, look on the website. There's more.
Okay.
I think the thing I want to get across is that, and the thing I'm most proud of, is that CBB is now a multi-genre channel. We do everything. It's not just what used to be called preschool programmes. Never quite sure what that meant, but anyway, we do the full range. As I said, observational documentary has become incredibly important for us and incredibly successful, and I can fully fund that because generally they're budgets are reasonable.
So you're thinking like My Family in
Our Family,
Our Family.
My First, Time for School. We've got another couple just going into production at the moment. As Cheryl says, diversity, inclusivity, really, really important to us in everything that we do. Just going back to the more diverse leads in animation, just so people are aware, Jackie Edwards is now head of animation across the whole of the department, so for both channels. So Jackie's your first port of call for animation ideas, just so I'd get that one in.
Can I ask you, in 2015 on this panel, Kay, you said you needed drama, comedy with female leads, experts with passion, music and dance, animation with strong female lead character. Did you get them? Which one didn't you get?
Yeah, I mean...
what are you still failing?
I haven't actually. I've just written down funny women.
Funny women.
I think, you know, and maybe that could be entered into the, you know, the drama, maybe a comedy drama. I mean, I've got one in development at the moment, but as Cheryl says, drama, comedy do take a long time to develop and get right. And I do want to keep drama on the channel. Comedy really works for us as well. So, you know, there's a possibility for a sitcom, but I could do with more funny women.
Okay. Any other, just a very quick point?
Yes, short form. I'm interested in
short form.
Short form.
How long? What duration?
I mean, it's sort of anything up to 5 minutes, and I think it depends on the ideas. I'm hoping that this could be a way of getting to know companies that we perhaps haven't worked with before. I think things that have worked for us really well, comedy, learning songs, facts go down very well with our preschoolers. They love watching themselves. But please, not something that's just aping something that's already on YouTube. You know, it needs to have the CBeebies ethos and the quality, something that really works for our audience, because short form could actually be the first contact for our very, very young viewers with both, you know, a digital journey and also with CBeebies, a longer journey, and then longer form content.
Okay, so you can incubate stuff with the short form.
Yes, but equally it could be bespoke, and it could just live as short form, but it could just be something that is, you know, it isn't what CBeebies becomes known for. You know, we all know where to find something special. It's a channel-defining show. There's no reason why we can't have short form that's equally
great. Claire,
defined.
you've got like 2 seconds.
Sorry.
2 seconds. All right, I'll talk about the shift to on-demand viewing then. I think it's massive. In CBeebies now, 8% of all viewing is via iPlayer, and CBBC it's 25%. That's why we've launched our iPlayer Kids app. 350,000 downloads in the first couple of months. So it's now need to be seen, iPlayer as a platform in its own right, not just a place to catch up. So think about exclusives, think about premieres, think about short form, as Kay said. Think about series catch-ups. If you're trying to pitch a returning series, how are you going to get people catching up with series 1 and 2? Think about short-form extensions of your brand. Think about digital first. Cheryl and Kay are now commissioning digital first short-form content. We've doubled our investment in short-form content in the last year. Move to tablet and mobile, short-form content. Move to apps. We've got a new app. Games as a genre, part of popular culture, not just games, HTML5 games that I talked about there, but just lightweight interactions with, you know, don't have to spend big. We know kids are playful. One of the things we think about is creative tools. How can we enable more creativity in kids? That's one of the enduring things about kids. They are still kids. They love to play, and they don't spend all their time on digital things. So that's probably my time up.
Okay, that's more than 2 seconds, but that's great. Okay, I just wanted to rush people along on that because we're running towards the end of the session, I think, and I wanted to give people time for questions if they have any. Here's your chance. We said earlier on a good way of starting the conversation is meeting people in a room. You're in a room. We're in a room. Here's your chance. Make an impression now. Who's got a question? We've got a question at the back there.
Hey everyone.
Can you just say your name?
My name's Tim Bain. I'm a freelance writer. And hypothetically, if you were a freelance writer, would it be, if you had an animation project, for example, would you go straight to Jackie with that, or would Jackie perhaps prefer a production company involved?
I think in the first instance I'd say go and talk to Jackie, because she's got so much experience and knowledge, she'd know the best way to help you. So go straight to Jackie with the idea.
Got a friendly animation company nearby. Yeah. Brilliant, because she's there. Is she at the back? There she is.
Is that Jackie up there?
Would you prefer a company, darling?
Jackie, speak yourself. Sorry, I know you were there.
Hello. You know, quite honestly, we don't have the resource to support individuals through the whole animation acquisitions process, but I'm always happy to have a quick chat just about the headline idea, but you would need to come back to us with a production company.
So I guess the answer is an initial chat, and then you'll guide them a little bit towards what they need to do. Okay, great.
Do try to be very supportive, you know, and connect people. I think that's part of what we do.
Okay. Another question?
Hello, Chris Banks, composer. How you doing?
Hello.
Hi, Chris.
I'm interested to know, it seems that CBeebies and CBBC act as two discrete channels, but I guess the desire is for people to migrate from CBeebies to CBBC when they reach 6, 7. I'm wondering how much you are thinking of programmes that bridge the gap or straddle the divide.
We've done 2, so Jamila and Aladdin plays out on CBeebies and CBBC, and Little Roy, which is a lovely kind of preschool version of our popular CBBC animated from Jam Studios, Roy. We're not sure. We've had quite a lot of feedback, so especially from the older end, who seem a bit negative about seeing the shows that they like on CBBC on CBeebies, but we're not worried about that because we know that there's a lot of viewing of older kids who comfort watch on CBeebies. And for example, we also know that a title like Danger Mouse, 30% of the viewing is 4 to 6-year-olds. So, we're aware that there's certain brands on both channels which act as bridges anyway. We're yet to decide. We haven't quite done the necessary research to know whether the actual bridging shows we've commissioned, the co-productions, actually do that job better than just content that, appeals to a broad spectrum.
So I think it's a really interesting question. Obviously, there's efforts being made, but we don't have time to explore them. It's a much, much bigger question than that. So I suggest that I'm afraid we don't have any more time for questions. However, you are going to be here till when? The end of the day?
2 o'clock, actually.
2 o'clock.
Meeting, so...
Get them.
I'm here.
Grab them.
And can we play Rolls Royce as we go out?
the Rolls Royce turn. Can you play the LMVC? Thank you very much, the panel, and thank you, guys.
CBeebies Bedtime Story.
I'm Tim. I've got a very special story for you tonight. Would you like me to read it to you?
Thumbs up to Tim Peake. Thumbs up to Tim Peake. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up to Tim Peake.
Obviously, you're wearing the Blue Peter badge. We would love to see what would happen to that badge if it was to be in an anti-gravity environment.
The thing with small objects like this that don't have much mass is they float around really easily.
It's being confirmed that the UK will leave the European Union.
It was disappointing because the decision was made for our generation, yet we didn't get to have a say in it.
It's CBeebies playtime. Would you like to come and play?
You're doing really well. Visit the library to find new stories and add them to your book.
We have some very sad news, Topsy and Tim. Poor Mossy's died.
Mossy was too poorly to come home, but Grandma stayed with her the whole time.
Oh, Mossy.
I cannot marry you.
And even for that, do I love you the more?
Activate the liquid disruptor distributors.
Hey?
Fire the spat cannons.
Oh, goody!
Come on and rock it with me. Let's do it right, let it out. I know you know. We just have to lose control.
I knew it was people from school. Everyone just ignored me there. I didn't want to take the site down because it was the only way I could still see my friends from home.
Pretty soon, you need to go from being a child into being an adult, or else the world would be full of children.
Is this what you see when you look for a camera? Because this is awesome.